Niaje. Welcome to Leo Tunapika. Tweri. I don't think the Tweri is around. So, wacha mimi wa shop kumeka kitu kamoja. What can we make? How about drop scones? These are the ingredients you'll need for the drop scones. 3/4 cup milk, about one juice from one lemon, which will combine with the milk to make some curdled milk to help in the making the drop scone soft. 2 eggs, preferably large if you can. Baking powder, a teaspoon. Flour, about 2 cups. I say about because it depends on the size of eggs you get. The rind from 3 lemons. Sugar, 3/4 cup. Some cardamom. If you can use ground cardamom. We're going to combine this with the flour. I'll need to shell it to add. Then the tools, a whisk, a grater, a bowl to combine, and some miscellaneous tools that you'll see as we go on. That by combining the juice of a lemon with the milk. What we'll do is put the milk in that bowl, and then for the juice, first you roll to make sure you maximize on the juice, then just half it, and squeeze. I usually use a spoon to help me get as much juice as possible from the lemon. Then I'm going to combine the juice with the milk, and I'm using this bowl that is a bit porous to help catch the seeds. So it helps if your milk is a bit warm, it will help in the curdling process. You can also warm up this mixture just to help it coagulate better, but it's not a must. Also, like trying to add the pulp. So I'm just going to pick off a little of the pulp, add it in. Cool. You set aside this mixture. We're going to now grate the lemons, and normally I usually start with grating the lemons so that I can use the juice of one lemon to combine with the milk so that the lemon rind doesn't go to waste. And when you're grating the lemons, just make sure you don't go too deep, as the deeper you go inside the lemon rind, the bitter it gets. So just try and get the green. So next, we're going to combine our eggs with the lemon rind, and then we're going to add sugar. So always, whenever you need to add eggs to a bigger bowl, always break them in a separate bowl. Always break them in a separate bowl, so that to avoid any accidents in terms of sometimes you might find a bad egg, like a rotten egg, which is not often, but trust me, when you don't do it, that's when you find it. Eggs going to that bowl. So does our sugar. At this stage, you can also add a little vanilla essence, but it's not necessary. Then you take your whisk, and now you whisk them together. So you want to whisk this until you see as if you've incorporated quite a amount of air, which will be visible by the air bubbles. So just feel a bit frothy, and some of the sugar has dissolved, but not all of it. Next, we're going to add our milk. I don't know if it's quite visible, but you can see it's quite curdled, yeah? So you're going to add it in. just continue whisking. I'm going to set this aside so that I can work on deshelling the cardamom and adding it to the flour. So this is the cardamom. I've deshelled it and then I've tried to grind it carefully with the pestle and mortar. These are the shells. Of course, I haven't removed all of it, so I'm going to use this later in another recipe or something. Now we combine the cardamom with the flour. You can use a fork for this. And then you add your baking powder. Now we've combined the baking powder, the cardamom and the flour. Next is we're going to add now our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. What we're going to do is we're going to fold them in so that we do not beat out the air that we added, and also we're going to try and not over mix. So I'm not going to add all of it at once, just to be careful. As you're mixing it in, just be gentle with it, because we want our mixture to be lumpy. We do not want a smooth mixture. Cardamom smells amazing. As you can see, our mixture is a bit wet. Now I'm going to add just about a handful of flour just to coagulate, but this is also okay. There you go. This is the type of texture you want. It drops. Yeah. So we're going to let this sit out for about 10 to 15 minutes as we preheat our oil. So guys, our oil has preheated. It's quite hot. You want to make sure that your oil is not too hot, because if it's too hot, the drop scones will cook too fast and they won't cook on the inside, only the outside will cook. And if it's too low, the drop scones will take longer to cook. They'll cook hard ndani, but they'll soak up the oil. So you want to find the sweet spot, but you want it considerably hot, but not too hot. Then I'm going to use a piping bag to pipe the drop scones in the oil, as I found, like for me, it's easier than to use a spoon. So I'm just going to, if you don't have a piping bag, it's okay, you can also use a spoon. I'm going to do some with the spoon, just so that you can see the difference. So there's our drop scone batter. There's our drop scone batter. This, so that it doesn't come from the other end. Then take your scissors, you cut the size you want, really cut it around there. Then I'm going to cut the batter as I drop it in with the scissors. So you don't want to make them too thick so that they cook evenly throughout. the color you want to achieve is like a golden brown, so something of the sort. We're going to make sure both sides have cooked evenly, and then we remove them from the oil. Next, we're going to drop them with a spoon. Now, make sure I'm not going to drop all of it, because if you drop all of it, it might not cook through. Also, just look at how ugly they look when I use the spoon. So this is why I prefer the piping bag method, because of aesthetics. These are quite big, as you can see, compared to the ones I had done with the piping bag. But we're going to try and cook these slightly longer than the others, just to make sure they cook through. Also, when you're making these, don't make them quite big. When you're dropping them in, whether you're going to use a piping bag or a spoon, try not to make them too big so that they take a shorter time to cook, they don't burn, and they cook through. Also, one test to make sure, like, to know if you made them right in terms of your batter, when you pick them up from the oil and you shake off the oil, they should feel fluffy. The texture, I don't know if this translates well, but when you shake them like this, they're a bit not rubbery, like spongy and fluffy in texture, but this feel a bit heavy because of the size. Alright, so near Jenny, the drop scones, as you can see, are done. We are going to cut one. This is the one I spooned in. Going to cut it and hope for the best. It's cooked through. Definitely worth the effort. For substitutions in terms of flavor, you can, for the lemon rind, you don't have to use lemon. You can also use orange if you want them to be orange flavored. Also, for the spice, you can add more spices. You can use different spices depending on your preference, but I would advise you use cardamom, because, to be honest, cardamom is the master spice. For me, irauka kwaheri. Ngoja.
That's blooper.
I have to cut one. Better come again. Trying to say. So from me, irauka kwaheri. Nairusha vibaya. So from me, irauka kwaheri.
Unaanza kucheka.
Sawa. For me, irauka kwaheri. Actually, it almost hit. I need a smaller one. Okay, ya mwisho katani.